Shavua Tov, everybody. Hopefully this time we'll be able to hear my voice. We'll do it one more time. And then we will hopefully get a chance to sleep a little bit. Okay, so this is the second portion of the Rambam's introduction to his long book of every single law that is ever applicable to any person ever living on this planet. Okay, so the reason why the Rambam has to explain this is to tell us where the laws come from and what's the purpose of his book. So he's telling us right now that this book of the Rambam has in it tons and tons of pieces of information from the Talmud, from the Tosefta, from the Sifra, the Sifri, the Talmud from Babylon, the Talmud from Jerusalem. So much information you have to gather all together and put it in one book. It was a big work. So now he's giving us a little bit of background of how great his work is. So he tells us that generation after generation, they were great Torah scholars, leaders of generations, leaders of the Sanhedrin, the Jewish court, leaders of yeshivas. With them, tens of thousands of Jews all together in Iraq, in Babylon, in Israel, in every single place where they all worked on the oral Torah, giving it from generation to generation. Now, the main works is the two Talmuds from Babylon and then from Jerusalem. The Babylonian Talmud is 100 years written by Ravina Rashi, which they were the last ones of the Talmudic sages. They wrote down the Babylon Talmud 100 years after the Talmud from Jerusalem. Now, besides those, there's in general also the Tosefta, the Sifra, the Sifri, and these books in general tell you what is allowed, what's not allowed, what's asur, what's mutter, what's tameh, what's sarashin, what's pure, what's not pure, what's chayiv, patur, means who's liable, who's not liable, what's kosher, what's not kosher, every single law in every single aspect of life. Now, besides that, as the generations go on, there's different circumstances that happen, and therefore the Jewish sages, the prophets, the rabbis must make decrees telling people don't do this, don't do that, because it can lead to something bad. So these decrees are also because of Hashem. God told the Jews in the Torah that you must make a fence to my mitzvahs, which means you have to, if you see that Jews are, unfortunately, somehow something happened and the Jews are, by accident, so to speak, doing a certain bad thing, the rabbis must make a decree in a way to keep the Jews away from it. For example, famous thing, let's say you can't carry anywhere out of your house on Shabbat unless there's an Eruv, because you might be carrying in a Rishus Rabbim in a certain street, which the Torah says you can't carry. We'll get into that later. Just give me an example. So, Rav Ashi, he wrote the Talmud. Now, the reason why it's so important to know about Rav Ashi is because all Jews in every single corner of the world, the Rambam writes, must listen to every single word of the Talmud. Other rabbis and other great sages that came after the Talmud, the Rambam writes, it depends. If you don't live in his city, so you go to the rabbi of your town, and he will open up the Talmud and figure out himself. But until the Talmud, everything within the Talmud must be done by every single Jew. There's no way of debating whatever it says in the Talmud. It's as if it's straight from God by Mount Sinai. We will continue tomorrow with the introduction, and just remember, every single part of Rambam is placed by the Rebbe. He set up exactly how much every person is going to learn, and thousands and maybe even more than thousands of people, tens of thousands of people are learning one chapter a day. All together, just learned what I just said. Have a good night.